Dear Professor, I'm QU YIBO and my student number is 199022. And this is my student ID card. Okay. Today I want to talk about how China will build a modern, harmonious, and innovative high-income society in 2030. And I will analyze from private enterprises and green economy. First of all, let me talk about private enterprises. By the end of 2020, the number of private enterprises in China has reached more than 40 million, contributing more than 50% of tax revenue and more than 60% of GDP, and more than 70% of technological innovation, and more than 80% of urban labor employment. But the average lifespan of private enterprises is only 2.9 years. Of the 5,000 private enterprises in Zhongguancun, Beijing, only 430 have been born for more than 5 years. The remaining 90% of the companies have disappeared, and only 3% have a lifespan of more than 8 years. The reason for this phenomenon is lack of money and lack of resources. At present, China's private enterprises still rely heavily on content financing, compared with the status of the private economy in the national economy. The loan resources that the private economy can obtain are very limited. In the financing structure of China's private enterprises, bank loans accounted for 4% and other forms of direct financing accounted for 5.5%. Internal financing accounts for the highest proportion, reaching 90.5%. It is generally difficult for private enterprises to obtain bank loans. Small and medium-sized enterprises, which create 60% of China's GDP, account for only 16% of the loans of major financial institutions. Small and medium-sized private enterprises have small operating scale and poor credit status, making it difficult to establish contact with financial institutions like large enterprises. Financial institutions learn through small and medium-sized private enterprises with low returns and high risks, which makes it difficult for small and medium-sized private enterprises to obtain the same status as state-owned enterprises and single foreign joint ventures. This extremely special capital composition has severely restricted the development of private enterprises. And to improve the situation, the government needs to strengthen support policy for private enterprises. For example, the Xinyi loan module promoted by the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission is based on the development and application of information publicity and big data to alleviate the problem of information mismatch between banks and enterprises. And the establishment and operation of a comprehensive credit service platform for the financing of small and medium-sized enterprises nationwide. The balance of inclusive small and micro loans is 17.8 trillion yuan, and there are a total of 9.994 million registered enterprises, and the cumulative loans issued through the platform exceed 4 trillion yuan. The average interest rate of loans issued by some local platforms is about 1% point lower than the national inclusive small and micro loan interest rate. It should be said that Xinyi loan has played an important role in supporting the financing of small, medium, and micro enterprises. And at the same time, China should also attach importance to the green economy. In the green development theory, there's a formula I equal to PAT, and I is the resource and environmental impact, P is the population, A is the economy, and T is the technology. This formula indicates that the impact of resources and environment is mainly affected by three variables: because of the rapid development of urbanization and industrialization in China in 2010. So I use 2010 data as a base. In 2010, China's per capita GDP was approximately $4,000, and its population was more than 1.3 billion. According to the current population growth rate in 2030, China's population is about 1.4 billion, and P becomes 1.1 P, and per capita GDP doubles in 10 years. Then in 2030, per capita GDP becomes $16,000, and so the $14 become $16, and so the A become 4A. Without the development of a green economy, the pressure on resources and environment caused by the increase in population and GDP will be 4.4 times that of the original. The contradiction between resource and environmental supply and demand is becoming increasingly acute, which requires the transformation of our economic module and even the entire development module. So if we evaluate the degree of green development in China's provinces through the three aspects of economic development, sustainability, and green development, we can find that the gap in green development in various provinces in China is still relatively large. The green development of southern city is generally better than that of the northern city. This means that the resources invested in the green economy in the north and south are unbalanced. In addition, the north is a big power generator, so the government needs to pay more attention to the development of green economy in northern cities. And according to the WRI's 2017 data, the power generation and the heating industries accounted for 41.6% of the total. And China's economy is still developing at a very high speed, and it is impossible to reduce the power generation in order to reduce the carbon emissions. So coal power generation is China's main means of power generation, which is very detrimental to China's desire to achieve carbon neutrality. Economic development and climate improvement are not contradictory. On the contrary, the implementation of a green economy will inject new economic vitality into the market. And Beijing's Pinggu district has clarified the development direction of its own green industry, like agricultural high precision industry, green logistics industry, and leisure tourism industry, and has established agricultural science and technology innovation demonstration zone. And that's all. Thank you for listening.